You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry Sanderson on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
7-4. Connor McDavid, 5 assists for Edmonton as they grab a 1-0 series lead. Golden Knights go into Dallas, beat the number 1 seed in the West, the Stars 4-3. Vegas a 1-0 series lead.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
And good morning. Welcome into a Tuesday edition of Inside the Locker Room. 205-342-9904 is the phone number if you'd like to jump in on the show with us this morning. The X accounts at Locker Room 109, at Wimp Sanderson 1, and at Barry Sanderson. The email address for the show is wimpandbarry@yahoo.com. Download that Tide 100.9 app to your smartphone, and you can take us with you anywhere you go. Also on the app, there's a chat box up in the right-hand corner there, and you can send us a message. It will come right to us there, and we'll read those over the air. If it's a question for Justin, Dad, or myself, we can answer that over the air as well. Before we get started, though, we want to thank Yellowwood, pressure-treated pine from Great Southern Wood. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it. Go to yellowwood.com to find the dealer that is closest to you. Last night in the NBA, wow, some crazy games. The Knicks, I think they scored 7 or 8 points in like 20-something seconds to knock off the 76ers 104-101. There was a lot of complaints. There was a foul there at the end on the turnover, but the referees didn't call it. And DiVincenzo hit the 3 ball. And the Knicks ended up winning. And the Nuggets were down, I think, 19 points, Justin, in the second half, and ended up knocking off the Lakers 101-99, outscored them big time in the second half. So a good win by the Nuggets there. The Lakers and the 76ers both gave away 2 games there for sure. Then the Cavaliers pretty much cruised 96-86. To win, to go up 2-0 in that series as well. Today on Tuesday, we got 3 games. The Suns and the Timberwolves. The Pacers will take on the Bucks, and the Mavericks will take on the Clippers. So right now, I believe, if I'm correct, every home team has won, even last night with the Lakers pretty much blowing it, and then the Knicks pulling one out of the fire that was really gone. Good morning, Dad. How are you this morning?
Okay, I'm doing okay. We're having, of course, Kevin Skarbinsky on because it's Tuesday. Marissa Luna, who is going to be Alabama's selectee for the Alabama, be Miss Alabama. We're going to visit with her at 8:15. So that's be our 2 guests today. Just a couple of things that happened yesterday. I'll repeat those, and then we'll go to some things that is happening today. Of course, Scotty won 19 under, and JT played better. He's 14 under, and Hogue was 9 under. The Braves won 3-0 last night against the Marlins. The NCAA, unfortunately, has approved the transfer rule, which is if you say boo to one of your players, he's gone. He can play anywhere he wants to, as many times as he wants to, and he can transfer as much as he would like to transfer. Missouri has hired the AD at Memphis, Larry Vicek, I believe it is. Mark Mitchell has gone from Duke to Missouri. Missouri needs some players, that's for sure. Arkansas is getting a big 6'5", 225 kid, Carter Knox, that was actually committed to Kentucky. Now he's going with Cal to Arkansas. Missouri center got disgusted of them losing the 18 games, and he has transferred to South Carolina. So now there's a case, as Barry and I talked about it, of transferring, within your own league. It's not good, but whatever. Sam Walters, as we know, is going to Michigan. And Arkansas is in the mix for the Big Tennessee Jonas Aldo, who is decided he wants to transfer, and Arkansas is heavily in the mix for him. So the only reason I did those is because they were involved with SEC teams. We don't have the time, Barry and I, to go through who all's being going where, but I did want to mention that because of the SEC team. So we'll entertain Kevin's thoughts at the bottom of the hour, and then Marissa will be on with us. Something a little bit different for us today because we're in a situation where basketball and football is kind of finishing up. If you have questions of me or Barry, just give us a call.
All right. I want to push back on you a little bit on you criticizing the NCAA.
Okay.
I don't think it's the NCAA's fault. I think the NCAA had a rule in place that if you transfer one time, then the next time you have to sit out a year. And then a judge in West Virginia came in and ruled against them. So they're putting these rules in place, and then the courts are coming back and ruling it. So I don't understand how that is really.
Well, you fussed at it too, so don't say.
No,
me.
but I'm saying, but I don't know that we can blame the NCAA when they had it's the courts that keep going in.
I don't think we fight the courts.
I'm sorry.
I don't think we fight the courts very well. We have to have a lawyer of our own. Somebody that's really tough. I think courts fight courts and judges fight judges.
Yeah, and I heard.
I don't agree with you.
Well, I'm just saying, like they put a rule in, and then they take it to court, and then the judge rules in favor, and so they put a temporary.
We talked all along that the whole problem, all of this is the lawyering. We always said that, but and the lawyering is for part of it. So I guess. Maybe that's partially true. I don't know that's altogether true. I don't think that when you have politicians decide that they're going to be the charge of the NCAA for all these rules, and they have a committee set up that's probably by no means athletic people, that you do as good a job as you would if you had athletic people and somebody in the NCAA who ran it like. Not Nick Saban, but a guy like Nick Saban, if you could find one, that would be able to kind of understand what coaches go through. Now, when we say what coaches go through, they have the first sentence they say, as I have said, you're talking about transfer, but coaches leave when they want to, when the money's more, and that is true. There's no doubt about that. So, I'm going to quit talking about it. The only reason I mentioned it is because it was news this morning, and I wanted to.
Well, it did pass. It passed.
To know that it passed. That's all I'm interested in.
No, I'm just saying. I think sometimes we kick the NCAA around, but sometimes I think their hands are tied. They had some pretty strict rules in place, and then every time everybody doesn't like their rule, they fight it. Also, they passed. I don't know 100% what this means, but starting August 1, the schools can now, if a guy will disclose all his NIL and what he's getting, then the school can negotiate with a third party for NIL. Now, I don't know 100%. The school was not supposed to originally be involved, but now if I say, hey, this is what all I got, then my school can negotiate with the third party to help me with NIL.
Okay. So there's a certain kind of new snigger coming on the property. And I'm at the university or wherever, and my guy's not getting enough money. Now I've got to take my time. Just think of all the athletes. Look at all of them. But here's a guy who I need to give more money to. So I start negotiating with my guy that does the negotiating with this new tennis shoe in order to get this guy some money. Well, the minute that happens for a football player or a basketball player, who it might be. Your mother and daddy, your high school coach says, well, you should have gotten that too. And so it continues to be just a complete stink day in and day out. The coaches don't have time to fool with that. They do have to have somebody like Kelly DeBoer has to handle all that stuff. It's very easy to say that, as you had just said, but it's very difficult to do that with a number of athletes.
You know, I want to see the day Alabama's a Nike school. What if a kid wants to sign with Adidas? Can he do it, or is he bound to have to wear that Nike because he's paying for
negotiation? That's the negotiation deal. Will you sign with us? You know we wear Nike. Yes, sir, I do. I know you wear Nike.
Yeah,
well, I get over there and I'm not playing much. Crap on! I ain't wearing enough Nike. Well, these Nikes I got on the reason I'm not playing much. I'm gonna put on some Adidas.
Yeah.
Well, it's you're sitting there. You're letting the prisoners run the camp.
Now there is one thing the NCAA is considering, and if they will pass this, then I think it might help a little bit. And they're saying they used to have the APR rules where if you didn't graduate your players, they count against you. Now they're going to start holding you account. You take these transfers, they got to graduate. If they don't graduate, they're going to start counting against you. If they'll put that in place, then they'll stop taking these guys that are transferred 3 and 4 times.
Let me find the counter. Let me find the guy that runs around and counting against every cotton pick, 16 schools. Yeah, let me find that counter. Are we going to get a guy in the NCAA who's going to count them up? Baloney Baluki.
What do you mean, count them up?
Well, you got to find out if that's true or not. You got to go through every about what you're saying about somebody being held accountable.
Well, at that point, you have to trust that the University of Alabama or Auburn or whatever is going to still take their degree serious, not just because the guy transfers. I'm not going to hand him hours towards his degree.
You got to be careful because some of these studs and some of these people and some of these assistant coaches, you go back to the old rule of back when I was coaching.
And I heard Pat call in this morning, and I actually agree with. How can the SEC, which I like the rule, don't get me wrong, but how can they put in a rule that after spring practice that you can't transfer within the league? How can that rule hold up with the SEC? Because nobody's challenged it. Can the SEC make their own rules? I guess one person has to do is challenge that, and we'll see if. Why can they have
lawyer up on that one?
Why can they have a stricter rule than what the NCAA has?
You're kind of talking out of both sides of your mouth.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying I agree with the rule, but if we're going to let the courts run college athletics now, then I don't see how that's legal as well. All right, we got a couple phone calls holding here. We'll get to the break. We'll get to those. 2-minute truck out 1330 Martin Road East. That's where you go pick up your boxes, your packing supplies, whatever you need to make this a smooth move. It's local, out of town, out of state. It's a stressful deal, so let the professionals handle it. They'll take great care of you and your stuff. Give them a call today, 205-247-5050. That's 2-minute truck movers who care.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. It does look like our backups through the work zone on eastbound 2059 approaching Joe Malisham are getting a little bit heavier here. That's not a surprise. There is more volume hitting the area for the morning, so we are starting to see a little more pronounced backup there. Along the way, you will find the right lane passable. Left lane, though, is blocked for the ongoing road work. No major accidents for the moment. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Tuesday morning. West Alabama Works is inviting job seekers in Sumter and surrounding counties to attend a hiring event. It'll be at the Livingston Civic Center Thursday, 2 until 5. Representatives from Walmart, DCH Health Systems, West Alabama Mental Health Center, Premier Service Company, Greene County Hospital and Nursing Home, and West Rock, along with others.
.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance and is backed by an entire team of people you know and trust. Rent a Toyota and let's go places. Reserving yours is a breeze at TuscaloosaToyota.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A Beautiful day today with a sunny sky. Tuscaloosa's high 75. Mostly fair tonight, the low 53. Tomorrow, partly to mostly sunny, the high 76. Thursday, a mix of sun and clouds, a few scattered showers around, the high 79. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 42 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Alabama Crimson Tide lives right here.
Down to the pylon. Touchdown, Alabama.
On Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. You're going to build the 5-star backyard. There's only one choice. You want to use Yellowwood pressure-treated pine from Great Southern Wood. All right, to the Yellowwood hotline. Get Tom into the show. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Barry. Morning, Coach. How are y'all?
We're good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. I got two things. First of all, the question I have is, I think you got to look at the process of the NCAA. How do they get to the decisions that they're making? I understand about the legal jeopardies that they face and have faced here in the last few years. But I think it would benefit everybody if we knew exactly who are the members of the NCAA. I have been told that it's coaches and administrators that actually do the voting on this process of rules and regulations. Is that true?
Say that to me again. I'm sorry. Say it again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, when they debate a rule change, and it's in a committee, I'm assuming, then it comes out, who votes on that? I mean, how does it get to be a rule?
Well, I think what happens, your committee chairman has I don't know how many's on the committee, Tom, but they discuss it, and pretty much. I don't think you have anybody say no. I think they argue. I mean, there might be somebody disagree, but I don't know how many is on the committee. But when the committee said they all agree or raise your hands, and they agree that a certain rule should pass, and then they announce that rule passing right now. They have a committee, an infractions committee, which is a joke now because there are no such things as infractions.
Right.
But I think that's the way they do it. He is the sole chairman of what they're to do about a rule, and they look at it, Tom, as I told you the other day. The very first thing they say is, "Well, I'll tell you one thing: coaches change when they want to." That's the first sentence that comes out of their mouth, and that's true. Right. And so that's where it goes, and it's the thing that I don't understand. I understand most people don't. Being a student and being a student athlete is two different things.
Correct.
And most people don't agree to that.
To answer your question, Tom, they have, you're right, it's people that represent, there's like 1,000 schools in the NCAA. You have Division I, Division II, Division III. They have people that are from certain schools that are on this committee that hear all these issues and make these rules. And then now I guess it's Charlie Baker is the president over all of those guys, but I think it is made up of administrators from schools.
Well, I bring that up. I want you to consider something. 6, maybe 7 years ago, Coach Urban Meyer was at Ohio State. And Coach Saban, and those two would go out in the spring and evaluate players. Well, that got to be a problem within the membership of the NCAA. And Dan Mullen was on the committee of rules as a coach at Mississippi State, and he knew both of these men. He worked for Urban Meyer. He did not like to recruit. Everybody knows that. And they started this thing about, you can't go out in spring and evaluate. And he was on that committee, and I've been thinking about that for a while and how stupid it is for somebody to be able to work against others that's willing to work. And Coach Saban said it, and it's the plain truth. They just didn't want to go out and work, but they didn't want anybody else doing it either. You see what I mean about the rules and the infractions and all that kind of crap? It's left up to people like that on the committee that have an axe to grind. It may be some kind of minority woman from a small school somewhere else and go, they had that money long enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You follow my line of thought here?
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I mean, there are some rules that are put in place, and then they decide what they put them in, and they decide whether they're going to vote them or not. That was one where they felt like the head coaches, because they were bringing in all these kids in January, these freshman kids that were high school kids that were graduating early. So they were bringing them in early, and they felt like it was important for the head coach to be there, to be able to be around these kids when they came in. But if you had a rule where they could go recruit, then they felt like they needed to be recruiting. So they tried to put a rule in place to keep these guys on campus, let the assistants go with all these new guys coming in. So they, whether you agree or disagree, or you saying Dan Mullen didn't want to work, but he probably didn't want to recruit as much as Nick Saban did. But there's a reason why they put these things. They just don't throw them out there. They wanted to keep the head coaches on campus when these new kids were coming in.
Well, maybe I've got it all wrong there.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you don't agree with that. Maybe you, but I just saying that's why they changed.
Well, Coach Saban says something, I just go, he's right. And, I don't think about anything else. I give him credit for being right.
Well, for Alabama and Ohio State, it's a little bit easier because those coaches could go jump on a private plane, fly somewhere, and be right back the same day. Not all the schools can do that. They don't have access.
They know it.
Yeah. So. But
thanks, Barry.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Get to the Yellowwood hotline. Get Philip in. Good morning, Philip.
Good morning, gentlemen. I do want to touch on the comments, Barry, and Tom's comments, too. Tom brought up about the committees and who they are and what they are. And I did a little research last week. I was going to get back with y'all to help you out. I tried to find out who's on that council that met last week about the transfer rules. And there wasn't much for them to meet about. They were just merely pushing through the judge's orders and making it official. So they didn't have much to meet about.
No.
But I could not find a single name of an individual that served on that committee. And I looked pretty hard. I tried to find it. And I was marking articles and going back and looking at them, but I could not find a single name of anybody affiliated with that committee.
Well, your guy that's the president of the committee is really the committee. You want to be honest about it. He is the committee. He is the one that visits with these other people, but name-wise, they're not really, name-worthy, several of them, but he really is the committee.
Well, they put things, they have coaches involved. Like baseball, they've been saying we need another assistant coach. They finally gave them another assistant that can be paid. Basketball's actually added 2 more assistants. They have 3 that can recruit. Then you can actually have 2 more now that could actually coach on the floor. So there are certain things that they do that probably the general public doesn't even know about to try to help the student athletes with coaching, with baseball, basketball, certain different things there.
And then what you said, Barry, about the academic progress, I think that could get very interesting. I think this will definitely cause some hiccups down the road here, probably sooner rather than later, because I'm going to tell you, these athletic departments now, I believe, are going to become more audit-wise, more money-conscious than ever before. And I'll tell you something. I don't know how you guys feel, but if I was an athletic director, I might be outgoing and friendly towards the public and towards the media, when I'm on TV and all that sort of stuff. But behind the scenes, I would be watching and keeping score of the spendings and how they're affecting the collective like you would not believe. I would be. And I think most athletic directors are going to be so hawkish on this now that you're going to see some guys that think they're going to portal and are told by people that you need to portal, and they're going to get rebuffed.
Yeah.
Well, you got some will and some won't, but you got to be accurate with this. And this doesn't. The athletic director is going to have people, that assistant athletic directors, people in the financial department to weigh this and study this. And sometimes you can talk about it on a call-in radio show. They don't do a good enough job for it to be effective.
Yeah, Philip. Sometimes there's people over here at the University of Alabama, at Georgia, at South Carolina. There's a lot of these academic people that hate this system. And when these kids transfer, those transcripts go to somebody that determines what classes they're going to accept or not. And sometimes, they look at the course description. They decide, are we going to take this class? Is this class going to go towards what? Some schools are going to be real strict on it. Some may not. Depends on your relationship with the people. Right. And you can't talk to those people. They don't allow the coaches to pick up the phone and call the lady that's going to determine whether this class is taken or not, because, you just got you're putting that lady or a gentleman under some pressure. Right? Excuse me, Philip, you're getting into, this one class is going to answer the question. Did he pass his class or didn't he? It gets down to one or two classes at times to where it's very confusing, very instrumental in you trying to get them to go ahead and accept that class so that this will work for you. Yeah. It's a hard deal. Yeah, so I hope they do, make these guys have, so many hours towards graduation and all, and quit jumping. You shouldn't be able to transfer 3 and 4 times and and have enough hours towards the degree, and so they should not let some of these kids be eligible, and then that'll stop some of it.
I think it's going to, Bear. Yeah. I think it's going to. I'll tell you, I think that's one reason why Grant Nelson was a little late enrolling, in my opinion. I think he had a lot to catch up on.
Yeah, he did.
Well, he's going to stay he's going to stay at Alabama if he's paid.
So, well, yeah, but he's also hoping somehow he could land in the first. If he can land in the first round, he's gone, Philip. So, but it's going to be a gamble with him because, it starts getting there late. You think you're going to be a first round, and all of a sudden you fall to the 42nd pick. Then it's no guaranteed contract. So he's taking a chance. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you.
All right, let's tell them about Bob Prince and Prince, Glover and Hayes.
Well, we talk about the lawyering all the time, but these gentlemen are people that can help you if somebody's coming after you, if you have an unnecessary accident that causes you mental and physical pain, and that should never have happened, or on the highways, if somebody comes after you for whatever reason. Prince, Glover and Hayes at 345-1234 are the people to call and visit with. They'll give you an idea as to whether you should go forward with it, and if you do, you stay with them, and they will go out and represent you in the right way. So give them a call. Hopefully you don't have to, but if you do, 345-1234, Prince, Glover and Hayes.
PrinceLaw.net is the website. If they don't win, you don't.
Call, you'll actually talk to me. 205-800-8000. I've got this.
No representations made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry, only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
You want to build the fence, the deck, the pergola, there's only one choice. You want to use Yellowwood, pressure-treated pine from Great Southern Wood. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, then believe me, you don't want to argue. Get right to the Yellowwood hotline. He is a writer with the Birmingham Lead and also AL.com. Joins us every Tuesday. Kevin Skarbinski. Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
I'm good, guys. How are you?
We're good. Go ahead, Dap.
I think I've been seeing your writing on the Kentucky-Arkansas situation. Is that not right? Didn't you write an article, too, about that?
I did, yes.
Okay. Can you, because one of your articles I didn't agree with, but I can't remember which one it was. Go ahead. So,
Kevin, come on.
Well, that's unusual, Wimp. Yeah. Not that you disagreed with me, but you couldn't remember exactly why. That was never a problem for you before.
I've had so much going on at home within that I hadn't really been able to think about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, just playing with you. I think we talked about last week, didn't we, about Mark Pope, and my concern. You seem to think that he was a good, all the hype and other things aside, you seem to think that he's a good basketball coach and he'll do a good job there. And my concern was that he had not performed at the level of coaches before him at BYU, and the coach after him at Utah Valley had a better 4 years in terms of winning championships. In 4 years, Mark Madsen led Utah Valley to 2 conference regular season championships. And in 9 years as a head coach, Mark Pope has neither won a conference championship, regular season, or tournament, nor has he won an NCAA tournament game.
Yeah, let me
And his 5 years at BYU, BYU has been a consistent NCAA tournament team going back to 1950. I think it was 6 of the 7 coaches before him at BYU had been to more NCAA tournaments, and 5 of the 7 had won multiple NCAA tournament games.
Well, what you're saying is going to come true, and so everybody will clap about that. But the difference is that the people that Cal had gotten are leaving, and the people that Cal had signed may not come. And the pluses on it is that the people at Kentucky wanted a Kentucky person. They wanted somebody with blue blood. They wanted somebody that loved the state of Kentucky, that loved the basketball program, and had played there if they could find one, and they did so. What you're saying is true, and probably in the first year or two, it's not going to be good. You're going to be able to say Kevin was right. That's fine, but because I think he's going to have to work like a Dickens to get these people back. It's a plus for Arkansas, although I'm not sure. Although Arkansas is going to be quite as good as we think they are, but they're getting all the Kentucky players. So if you compare Kentucky versus Arkansas next year, Arkansas is going to run off and leave it because they got Jerry Jones. That's the only statement that I think the guy's a very good coach, because I know people have been around him. But as far as what you have said being true, probably will be.
Yeah, and look, it should be a long-term deal. He should be judged not on 1 or 2 years, because he is going to. Their roster has taken a serious hit. Yeah. They're not going to be as talented next year, and they're probably going to be middle of the road in the SEC at best. And so, yeah, but it's about what kind of talent he can bring in. Can he bring in the right guys? Can he bring in and I liked what he said about it's not always about just getting all the most talented guys. It's about getting the guys that play best together as a team. And there's a lot to be said for that. When you look at teams that get to the Final Four, generally you have NBA guys on those teams. But you also have a mix. You have guys that know their roles, that accept their roles, that play hard, that do the dirty work, as well as having guys that are going to be, prominent, going to be NBA players. So, like Brandon Miller is a finalist for the Rookie of the Year in the NBA this year out of Alabama. You got to have guys like that if you're going to win championships, especially national championships. You better have some NBA guys. But again, it is about a mix, and we'll see. This will be told over time. Obviously, Kentucky fans love him for the reason you said. It resonates somewhat back to the period where at Alabama, where the people making decisions there thought they had to have an Alabama guy, whether it was the football coach, the AD. There was a lot of, especially after the Bill Curry situation, that it was you got to have an Alabama guy. Yeah. Well, an Alabama guy like Gene Stallings was a great choice. An Alabama guy like Mike Dubose was not. So having that, being a member of the family, so to speak, can help, but it's not always the answer when hiring a head coach.
Well, when you're dealing 70-30 against your head coach, percentage-wise, and that's what it was against Cal. It was 70 against him and 30 for him. That's a big hunk right there. So I think Cal will do a good job. I don't think it helps the league for this to happen personally. Tennessee and Alabama may gain when they play them because they'll be in disarray. We'll see.
Kevin, help me here. Your guy asked me a question. I was a little bit stumped. All right, two questions for you. One, other than Charlie Baker, who is the NCAA? One, who are they? Guy said I tried to look them up, find out who's making these rules. And is it fair? You know, Dad had said something I kind of pushed back at him, not just playful, but that we're blaming the NCAA on this new transfer rule where you can transfer as many times as you want. But I think the NCAA had a good rule in place, and the courts came in and changed it. So now they kind of tied their hands. Now, should they have gotten on top of the money thing earlier? I'm not going to disagree with that. But, you know, they kind of, if we're going to let the courts decide everything, then I don't even know how they make a rule. And how does the SEC, I'm asking you about three questions here now. How does the SEC get away with saying you can't transfer within the league after spring ball? You can't go within the league. How is that legal? So number one, who is the NCAA? Two, do we kick them for no reason when the courts are making decisions, not them? And how does the SEC get away with this rule?
Okay. A lot to unpack there, obviously.
Yeah.
First of all,
sorry.
Yeah, the NCAA is not this disconnected, central government of shadowy figures in Indianapolis that nobody knows who they are. The NCAA is the schools. Yes, there is a central office staff, and yes, you have a president. And you mentioned Charlie Baker as the new guy, so they are somewhat involved. But when it comes to the rules, this is something that when there was a Power Five, the Power Five schools fought for autonomy. And that's why they called themselves the Autonomous Five, not the Power Five. They didn't like that term, even though it was very much appropriate. Because they were able to make more of their own decisions. There used to be a time, you guys will remember when the NCAA, all 300, 600, 800 schools, whatever it was, like you've got 360 Division I schools. So in that case, Alabama State's vote would be the same as Alabama's.
Right. Or
Alabama A&M's would be the same as Auburn's, et cetera, et cetera. And obviously they have very different circumstances at the 1AA football level, or the football championship subdivision level, I should say, and the FBS. And even within the FBS, there are levels. So, it's really unfair to just blame the NCAA because, and there are rules committees, when they change rules in sports.
Right.
Those rules committees are made up of athletic directors and officials from different schools. So those are the ones making the rules. And you make a really good distinction there, Barry. The NCAA ultimately, and that includes the schools, they're the one, it is the schools. They're the ones who drag their feet on the issue of compensation for athletes, on rules like the transfer rules, on some of their more, what we're seeing as some of their more draconian rules and regulations that were not designed in the best interest of the student athletes. So they deserve a lot of the majority of the blame for the situation that college athletics finds itself in today. But they do have their hands tied in some cases. Well, as you said, if the court's going to make a ruling, doesn't matter what your rules say.
Right.
If states, when states passed NIL legislation, right away you had a conflict that was ultimately going to be decided in favor of the players making the money. So, it's a combination of things as far as that goes. And as far as the SEC, all it's going to take is a legal challenge to that.
Yeah.
So all it's going to take is one court case where a player says, I want to transfer from Vanderbilt to Alabama after the spring. And the SEC says, I can't. Why can't I? And now that'll be overturned as well.
That's the point I was making. It's going to be fight against fight. It's going to be one fight after another. If I were to ask you to say to you, would you please tell me who the head of the NCAA is, and would you name the members? You couldn't do it, could you?
Well, I don't know all of the officials, all of the NCAA central office staff officials. No, I know the names of some. I don't know most of them.
Voters, if you feel like
it's the schools, but it's the schools.
Yes,
it's the schools.
Yeah.
But it's the school has to decide. You know, is it the athletic? Yeah, usually the athletic directors attend these NCAA conventions, and they will, and they're the ones when the votes come up. You know, whether it's for whatever it might be, there are votes taken, and they have, you know, and then there's an NCAA legislation pipeline. You know, you make a proposal, it goes to a committee. It gets discussed, it gets tweaked, and then it eventually has to be approved. Then it has the board of governors. I could not sit here and lay it all out for you. I'm vaguely familiar with how it works. It does go through, just like legislation in the state legislature, in Congress. It goes through it goes through a process before it's approved. But it is approved, and the people who approve it are representatives of the schools.
I guess, but now I thought they had a good rule in place. I didn't love it, but I was all right. Well, you can transfer one time, and you can be immediately eligible. You get your one. All right, you made a mistake, you won. So the NCAA comes, they make that rule, and then the courts come and change it. But everybody kicks the NCAA over it, Kevin. That's what I'm saying. That's not the NCAA. Yeah. They had a pretty good rule in place that was, going to keep so many guys transferring 3 and 4 times because they're not going to sit out. They're just not going to do that. The courts are to blame on this one, right?
Well, and again, to a great degree, but again, had the NCAA gotten its act together and foreseen the obvious issues that were coming down the road and handled them properly on the front end, then they wouldn't be legislating by law. In other words, they wouldn't be making rules according to or letting the courts make their rules for them because they refused to do it properly for so long. And that's really the situation they find themselves in. Look, I don't know that it would be illegal or anyone would win a court case if they said, okay, we're going to have one period of the transfer portal a year, just like the NBA, say, has free agency starts July 1st. And for 1 month, a player can change schools, and that's it. We're not going to have one for football in December. We're not going to have one while teams are preparing for the playoff, while teams are preparing for bowl games. We're not going to have another one after spring practice. We're going to have one, and I don't know what the ideal time would be, and there would be problems with any time you chose for different reasons. But I think they'd be better off look, this is moving more and more. We talk about this all the time towards pro sports. Pro sports don't have 27 free agency periods. They usually have one, right?
Yeah, you're also under contract for a certain number of years, and so maybe you can.
That's where it's headed, and that's where this is headed. They're going to be contracts. There's going to be collective bargaining where the players, as a group, negotiate with whomever the representatives are of management. In this case, the schools. And they will negotiate on things like practice time, on the portal, on compensation, what percentage of, and this is going to happen, what percentage of the television revenue goes to the players. Everything is pushing in that direction.
Yeah, Dad can tell you better than me. This is probably how this happens with the SEC. They get down in Destin, they get the athletic directors and the football coaches, and they say, now we can't have these guys going within the league after spring practice. We're going to put our system in place. We can't have guys going within the league. And they know that's not going to hold up in court, but they just kind of think they're above the law, I guess, Kevin, if they put it in there until somebody challenges it. Is that basically how it goes?
Well, I think that's exactly right. I mean, they had, again, that's why you've seen so much pushback from coaches, because they don't feel like they've had enough input into the ways the system works. And I don't know that that's true, because they have had input. They do communicate, as you said, in the SEC's case. In Destin every year, they've done this forever. They talk about these issues. They come to a consensus. What do the football coaches want? What do the basketball coaches want? What do the women's basketball coaches want? Those are the three primary coaching groups that meet down there, and then the athletic directors meet. They also meet with each coach's group meets with the athletic directors to kind of wrap up the coaches part of the meetings. Then the athletic directors meet with the presidents, and they communicate what changes in legislation they'd like to see. And then it's the presidents typically that make that can get that legislation moving. So it's a case of you've got to have there's got to be some consensus at some point between the two sides, and that's what it's come down. You've got two sides now. Yeah. You've always had this, but it's never played out like this in college athletics because the schools, the coaches, the ADs, they held all the power. Well, now the players, the pendulum has swung back wildly in favor of the players, almost as if to make up for lost time. And eventually, like I said, the most equitable way to do it is to have each side have its duly elected representatives sit down and talk about these things and hash it out and work out what's best. This is something that people lose sight of. There was a fascinating article, and if you haven't read it, read Ross Dellinger's article yesterday on Yahoo Sports about what happened with the playoff discussion in January of 22, when Greg Sankey and the Big Ten basically got mad because their plan got shot down, and because the ACC, it was the Big Ten that shot it down, and the Pac-12 at the time, because those three got together, their short-lived and foolish alliance. Guess what? Well, the Pac-12 doesn't even exist anymore, and the Big 12 and the ACC are going to get a much smaller share of the pie in this new football playoff deal. And someone made a great point in there. Everybody is out for themselves. That's always been the case, but more so than ever. Who is going to say what is best for the entire sport? What's best for college football? What's going to keep college football as one of the most popular sports in the country going forward? What's best for the game? And no one's asking that question. The SEC is asking what's best for the SEC. Same with the Big Ten, and those two now have become the elephants in the room, and they get what they want. And if the others don't like it, guess what? The Big Ten and the SEC basically said, "Hey, we don't need you. We'll have our own playoff. We'll do our own thing." And nobody's and it seems like, I shouldn't make a blanket statement, but it seems like no one is looking out for the good of the game.
Great point. What are you saying?
We have a real problem too for our listeners and for all of us in that those schools who are not in the power conference, the Samfords or people close like that, it's a real problem for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a major problem. We don't appreciate them as much because they're not the big deal now, but that really comes into play to some extent with this, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And they're going to make, and again, I highly recommend this article. It's really a good summation of where college football is today. It's got great quotes in there from Sankey, who basically said, "Hey, look, we had an equitable deal. You guys didn't like it, so next time we're not going to be as beneficent. We're going to look out for ourselves," and that's what they did. And the SEC and the Big Ten each are going to get 29% of the revenue from the college football playoff. 58% of that revenue is going to two conferences, and the difference that each school in those conferences is going to make, like $70 million versus ACC schools might make 50 or 40 or 30, and then go on the Big 12 is a little bit less than that. The group of five schools, the Samfords, the UABs, the South Alabamas, they're going to make a little more in terms of raw dollars, but there are things about it that are not beneficial for them, and there are a couple of those voices in the story as well, led by Mike Oresco, who's unfortunately retiring as the AAC commissioner. He did a very good job for that league and was very effective, with a very effective voice for the group of five schools. And I don't know if the new guy in that league is going to be as effective.
And along with that, as I'm saying, the Oregon States and Washington States get nothing.
Oh.
It's
amazing.
Fair to say, Kevin, that Greg Sankey is good for the SEC, but he's not good for the overall game of football with everybody involved? He's not good for them, but he is good for the SEC. Is that fair?
Well, he says, and that may be a good summation, because he talks a good game. We've heard him say it. I've heard him at media days, at his State of the SEC address, talk about, and again, I don't know that he's going to continue to talk like this, but this is a few years ago, where he would talk about that it was important for football to be important outside of the Deep South. It was important for people in the Pacific Northwest, in the Midwest, in the Northeast to care about college football, because again, there was a time we can remember, a lot of younger people wouldn't, where college football was a regional enterprise, very regional. It was not a national deal. College football was not. It was a big deal. There was the USC-UCLA game around Thanksgiving. There were the Oklahoma-Nebraska game. I still remember crying, guys. I don't know why I was an Oklahoma fan. One of the greatest games of all time, 1971, Thanksgiving. Nebraska beat Oklahoma 35-31. Johnny Rogers for Nebraska, Greg Pruitt and the Wishbone for Oklahoma. And I was a big Oklahoma fan, and they got beaten. I remember I was like 9. I was just cried my eyes out after the game. I don't know why. I lived in Pennsylvania. I don't know why. I did love the Wishbone. But anyway, so it wasn't. Are we going to go back to that? Is it going to not? Are the people in the Pacific Northwest, are they going to care? Now, Oregon, of course, and Washington, they're in the Big Ten. But I don't know. It's just we've lost perspective for some time now on what's good for the game, and it's every man for himself. And the biggest men in the room are the leaders of the SEC and the Big Ten. And they decided, look, guys, okay, we're not doing the equality thing anymore. We're going to do the thing where we have contributed the most, we've put the most teams in the playoff, and we're going to get rewarded for it.
Yeah.
And by the way, there's a look in this new deal. If this all gets ratified, they still haven't decided on the format after the next 2 years, whether it's going to be 12 or 14 teams. But there's a look in after like 4 years. And that's what the Big 12 is counting on. Because right now, of their 4 Power 4 conferences, the Big 12 teams get the least. They get less than the ACC, which gets less than the Big 10 and the Big 10 and the SEC.
Yeah.
And by the way, because the Big 10 has more teams, or will starting July 1st, because it'll have more teams than the SEC. SEC schools per school get more money out of this pie than the Big 10 schools.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, Kevin.
Hey, before you leave, give me a guess. Give me a guess as to how many teams out of the SEC will be in the playoff.
Out of 12, I'm going to say 4.
3 or 4, sure.
4.
Yeah, that's fair. Kevin, tell everybody where they can find you.
Yes, follow me on Twitter /X at Kevin Skarbinski. You can argue about Aiden Holloway, which has been a really hot topic on social media. Not so social in some cases. Some people very upset that he changed sides in the rivalry. But that's the best way to keep up with my twice-a-week columns in the Birmingham Lead and other things that I am working on.
Aiden Holloway likes to transfer, Kevin. Let's just put it that way.
I've seen his resume.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, guys.
All right. As Yellowwood brought you this 7 o'clock hour, always remember, if it doesn't have that yellow tag on it, you don't want it. Phone lines will be open when we get back, 205-342-9904. Miss Alabama, Marissa Luna will join us at 8:15. Justin Tide, 100.9, 1230 AM, WTBC is the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. The drive on eastbound 2059 from the I-359 to Skyland Boulevard is still just about 7 minutes. No real backups along the way there. Along McFarland, we're moving nicely there as well. The drive between Airport and Jack Warner is 10 minutes.
.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
It's the Tide 100.9 30K Workday Payday. Woo! Win cash every weekday 8 to 5. Here's this hour's cash code.
478. Again, that's 478. The code is 478.
Enter that code now on the Tide 100.9 app. Click on the 30K Payday button and enter the code for a chance to win $30,000.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
In the NBA playoffs, the Nuggets rally past the Lakers for a 101-99 win. Denver was down 20 points in this one. They come all the way back, win it on a Jamal Murray 15-foot jumper at the buzzer to take a 2-0 series lead. Knicks rally past the 76ers for a 104-101 win. New York closed with an 8-0 run in the final 30 seconds. Jalen Brunson and Dante DiVincenzo each had big three-pointers over that span as New York grabs a 2-0 series lead. Cavaliers beat the Magic 96-86. Cleveland with a 2-0 series lead. NHL playoffs, Hurricanes surprised the Islanders 5-3. Carolina scored 2 goals in a 9-second span in the third period to rally for the win. Carolina with a 2-0 series lead. Maple Leafs beat the Bruins in Boston 3-2 to even with that series at 1-1. Austin Matthews the game winner for Toronto in the third.
Or visit mezwins.com. I've got this.
No representations made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to the second hour of Inside Locker Room. Appreciate Kevin being on with us. A lot of good feedback about the interview with him. He always does a great job. As we transition into the 8 o'clock hour, we want to thank Allstate Insurance agent Andrew Kniffer. Andrew's my agent. Let him become yours. He's out at 4705 McFarland Boulevard, Suite 3 over in Northport. Give he and his staff a call. They'll set you right up. Give you a quote on home, life, auto, whatever you need. 205-722-9201. All right, I want to ask you guys this question. Okay, in addition to the eligibility decision, the NCAA Division I board, whoever the board is, we can't seem to determine that, passed new rules allowing universities to help athletes find NIL contracts. In exchange, athletes will be required to disclose any NIL deal of more than $600 to their school. So they got to come up front. Hey, these are the deals I already got. Now go help me find some deals. I guarantee the schools probably don't like this. They probably didn't want to have to go out and seek deals for these guys because now they're going to Dad and Justin. They're going to try to get deals for their athletes when they're normally trying to go and get the money for facilities and all. So now they got to be involved in it. And I think they want more to be more transparent. Do you think these, we'll talk SEC now, these SEC, and they're going to have to do it. Are they going to like having to have, now they're going to have a department that has to go out and find these NIL deals?
Explain that to our two callers. They can't go through that and try on each athlete. There's a zillion athletes. And everybody, a tennis player wants the same thing as a basketball player. Basketball player wants the same thing as a football player. They all want money. It's not possible to do.
Well, I'm just saying now they're letting the universities go out and find these deals. I got to imagine that's a headache for the university.
That's what I'm saying. That's the point I'm trying to make. When you get down to it and start on a daily basis trying to do that, it's impossible.
Justin, is this Greg Byrne? Now, does he have to go make his own NIL department? They hadn't had to deal with it because they had Yay Alabama. Do you even need Yay Alabama anymore? Or people would probably be more apt to give to the people at the university because they'd have a better feel where they know that the money's going. We give it to Yay Alabama. How do we really know where it goes? So we're going to have to get their own NIL department over there at the university?
Yeah, Alabama is technically a separate entity, right?
Yeah.
Of the university.
But now they're saying the university can starting August 1.
Yeah, maybe we need to see Yay Alabama get absorbed by the university and reamped so that they can kind of facilitate this newer rule, I guess.
Yeah. So that's going to put some pressure, Dad, on these universities to hire some guys that are go-getters.
That's right. You can do a lot of talking, but behind that talking has to be a lot of doing. And when you start doing for athletes who are jealous of each other, who are at different sports, who feel like that they deserve the same thing as everybody else, you got problems.
I mean, if you're working for the university and you go in there and you ask, I don't know, let's just say Jimmy Rain, you go in there and ask him for money for our NIL. He said, well, good gosh, I just gave you just redid your baseball stadium. I just gave you X million dollars for that. Now you want, I mean, at what point, what are you walking in there asking for? NIL money or facility upgrade money? I think that's a tough deal there to because at some point you get to where you sound greedy, and people are like former athletes. They don't even want to give to these. They say, look, I gave my heart and soul there. I'm not giving that school back any money. Now, a few do, but most of them don't. And is that not correct?
That is absolutely correct. There'll be 75 to 85% of them who do not want to give money back to the other athletes because they feel like that they work their fannies off to play.
Well, you look at a guy like A.J. McCarron. He hadn't said this, but he's going to say, man, I busted my tail at Alabama. I got nothing. Why am I going to give back and give some little spoiled brat that's 19 years old that's going to go blow it on whatever? Why am I going to give him my hard-earned money? When I was there, I got a scholarship, and that was it. Those guys think about it like that, right? They don't look at it.
Right.
Now, maybe as time goes on and guys that are here that got NIL money and they benefited from it, maybe when they get away, if they get real successful, they may say, well, that program helped me. But right now, the Robert Ory's and those type of guys, they ain't giving back because they're going to say, man, I went over there and I made that school so much money. There ain't no way I'm giving back over there. I only got scholarship unless it was under the table. So I don't know.
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, I think we're going to have Marissa in, and I'll say that when she gets on, but I decided that we need to have something besides argumentation or whatever we do, and not argumentation, but going over things with this young lady who's, we'll talk about her. We're going to get her on at 15 after Barry, so we'll introduce her when she comes on.
All right, we'll take the break here. We'll get Marissa Luna in. She was crowned in October Miss Alabama. So we'll miss you. I guess Miss University. Miss University of Alabama. There you go. All right, we'll take the break here. We'll get Marissa in. We'll ask her some questions, and Justin, all that, you'll be happy that you can ask her some questions as well. You're listening to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We have picked up your normal slowing along southbound Lurling Wallace as you cross over the Hugh Thomas Bridge down to University. But once you pass that, straight shot the rest of the way down to the I-20 interchange. Now, we do have the road work
available. Camps in Tuscaloosa and Bessemer. Tired, dirty children, guaranteed. More at grossoutcamp.org.
Years ago, Jimmy Rain decided that the best way to advertise Great Southernwood was through coaches. Gene Stallings, Pat Dye, Steve Spurrier, and myself, and many more coaches took to the radio and TV airwaves to tell people that if you're building outdoors, the only way to build is with pressure-treated pine, yellow wood. It is the very, very best. Why? Because all the coaches said yellow wood, pressure-treated pine, protects against bug, termite, and weather. Decking, fencing, play sets, whatever you're wanting to build, just go to the internet. Look.
6th Pearl River Resort Silver Star Convention Center. On sale now at pearlriverresort.com.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental-car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance and is backed by an entire team of people you know and trust. Rent a Toyota and let's go places. Reserving yours is a breeze at TuscaloosaToyota.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A beautiful day today with a sunny sky. Tuscaloosa's high 75. Mostly fair tonight, the low 53. Tomorrow, partly to mostly sunny, the high 76. Thursday, a mix of sun and clouds, a few scattered showers around, the high 79. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 48 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Two-time state champion and two-time NIT champion Barry Sanderson breaks down the latest in sports on Inside the Locker Room on Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to Inside Locker Room. Tuscaloosa Toyota, the great sponsor here in this 8 o'clock hour. You can go to the website, TuscaloosaToyota.com. Look at the new vehicles, the used vehicles. You can schedule a service. You can rent a Toyota right there at the website. Great deal going on right now. Buy 3 tires, get the 4th tire for $1. That ends at the end of this month, so go take advantage of that. Swing by Skyland Boulevard, find Justin, David, and tell them that Wimp and Barry sent you. All right, get right to the Tuscaloosa Toyota hotline. She was crowned Miss University of Alabama. Dad and
been visiting with her, and go ahead.
We'll bring Marissa Luna into the show. Good morning, Marissa. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
We're good.
Fine. We appreciate you being on. I guess the best word to use for Barry, she's very, very attractive.
Yeah.
So certainly going to say that, and she has great ability as well. And I visited with her and talked with her mom a little bit, and appreciate her taking time. I wanted to change away from all this arguing that we all do, and talk with her. Marissa, we are real tickled that the Miss Alabama contest will be in June. Is that not correct?
Yes, it's June 23rd through 26th, and I'll be there for the whole week.
Okay. Did you, in winning the award at the university, did you have to perform any kind of talent? Was there voting? How did that work?
Yeah, there's a few portions of competition. You have evening gown, on-stage questions, interview, fitness, and you have talent. So I got to sing a opera song in Italian.
Well, great.
Wow. In Italian?
Italian, you sang that, and they bought that?
That's amazing. Go ahead.
What was the name of the song?
It was The Prayer. It's by Andrew Bocelli and Celine Dion.
Okay. So you're going to do that, and besides being hopeful that you can win for the university and for yourself, you've taken off on a singing career. It's great. Tell our listeners about that.
Yeah, I did online school at high school, and I've been singing since the age of 8. I did Vermont theater growing up, and I just kind of knew it was for me, and I finally came to my mom and I said, hey, I want to be a singer, and I want to write music. So we really took off on it, and the state of Alabama has really helped me. You know, I've gone to Muscle Shoals, and people have been very helpful and encouraging of my goals with a music career, and I'm really hoping to release a album and an EP soon. And I hope that I'm on the country awards in the next 4 years.
Wow. Right. Tell the listeners some of the acts that you've opened up for, you sang before.
Oh, yeah. I've opened up for Maddie and Tay. They came to Greystone in Birmingham, Alabama. And I've opened up for Walker Hayes and Muscle Shoals. And that was, shortly after they had their big hits and have, they've made it in their success in their career. And they gave me a lot of advice on, how it takes one good song. So I'm really hoping I find that right song and my career skyrockets in the next couple of years.
That's awesome. Tell us how you got interested in this type of competition, winning the Miss University of Alabama, as you said, going on to compete for Miss Alabama. How did you get interested in doing this?
Oh, goodness. I actually competed in my first pageant when I was 13, and it was kind of a smaller one called NAM, and it was in Birmingham, and I begged my mom to let me do it because I wanted to go on stage and sing. All I wanted to do was just sing in front of a crowd, so that was kind of a way I could do it, since they have talent. And someone reached out to my mom, was like, I think she'd be really great at this. And my mom was like, I don't know. And then they said, it also provides scholarship money for college. And that's when my mom was sold.
Sure.
She was like, yes. So I've been doing it all the way through high school. I did it for 2 years, and I was second runner-up at Miss Alabama's teen. And last year was my first year at Miss Alabama. I got top 12, and this will be my second year. But the great thing about being the Miss University of Alabama is that you get a full year of tuition paid for after you compete in Miss Alabama.
Yeah, that is great. Deb?
A little bit, of course, when you went to Muscle Shoals, you went home for me, because that's where I'm from. Did you record things there?
I did, yeah. I recorded in Fame Studios, the famous, Fame Studios with Rodney Hall. He did all the production. And I was there pretty much all summer. I was there all summer in Fame Studios recording an EP and getting some really great country songs down. And right now they're in the process of being mastered, and we hope to release them pretty soon.
Well, I wanted to ask you how you go about that. Once you've made your recordings there and other places, do you have an agent? Do you do it yourself? Explain to our listeners how you go forward with this.
See, it's kind of interesting now today because music has changed so much. It used to be back in the day that you got your manager, you got a label, and they did it all for you. But now in today's time, a lot of artists, they do it themselves. They release it. They're their own manager and everything. But I'm really grateful to have, the mom I have, and she kind of helps with some of the release and stuff like that and all that. But I am looking to get signed by a label. I'm waiting for my best offer. I have a few right now. But as of right now, I am a independent artist, and I'm doing it all myself.
Great.
We're talking Marissa Luna. Are you a country singer? What type of singer are you, Marissa?
I'm going through kind of an awakening with my artist. I feel like a lot of artists change. We watched Taylor Swift go from country to a pop star.
Yeah.
And I'm country right now, and I've recorded a lot of country because I've grown up here. But a lot of people say I sound a lot like Amy Winehouse. So I'm kind of tapping into a little bit of R&B right now, too. So maybe after a country album, people can probably look out for an R&B album that might be coming shortly after.
Well, let me ask you. Here's what I will ask you. You see country singers who get started, they always have the same dress. They have some that have on a man, what I'd call a man's hat. It's not, but a hat or a dress or I don't want to call it a costume, but they are dressed the same way every time to where the listeners not only will like their voice, they will like the way they look. And you're very attractive. And are you going to have a dress or a outfit that is going to be yours, or are you going to just jump from one to another?
I definitely have a style to me, and I think it fits country, but not much. I don't wear hats. I will tell people that. People have told me, you're in country, I wear a cowgirl hat. No, I don't like hats. But I definitely have a lot of boots. I have a couple of cowgirl boots, and my favorite color, I just really love to wear black. I think it really suits me, black and white. So if someone was going to see me on stage, they'd probably see me in black or white.
We're talking with Marissa Luna. Talk about what you do here for your preparation to get ready for this Miss Alabama pageant here in June.
For preparation, a lot of it is obviously we all have platforms. So mine's More Than Meets the Eye, and I try to teach younger students and younger generations and people on this campus about inclusion and diversity and how to include others and make everybody feel heard and seen. So I grew up with 3 learning disabilities in the classroom, and I struggled. I was bullied. I couldn't figure out what worked best for me within a educational environment. So I really help support that, and I work with a couple of schools back in Birmingham that are made for helping those kind of students. So a lot of it is, raising money, being involved in your community, giving back to those that, need help, that you care for, that you really are inspired to be there for. But the rest of it is, interview practice. A lot of mock interviews. Every day I'm up, warming up my vocal cords, making sure that they're healthy so that when I get to Miss Alabama, the song I'm singing is I'm able to sing it, and I sing it every day. And I wish I could tell you what it was, but it is a surprise, and my director has told me not to tell anyone.
Sure.
But it's a lot that goes into it, and I think most of it, honestly, is it's mental. You have to make sure you're in the right headspace for it, and you have to really be motivated to not get discouraged.
You say you sing it every day. You sing it every day at the house to your mama, or do you sing it every day working to improve it in a studio? What do you do there?
I'm singing it at home. I don't know if I'll sing it for my mama because my mom will still tell me the truth. So if it's not to where it needs to be, my mom will be like, "She is that mom," and like, "What is that?" And I'll be like, "I'm sorry," but no, I sing it every day. It's I will give you all this. There is a different language in it. It is bilingual, so it's in English, and there is a little bit of Spanish in it. But I am singing it every day just to make sure I really have it down, because when you're competing, those nerves really kick in. And it's so much different from performing for people as an artist. So when you know that you're being judged, you just want to make sure you really have it underneath your belt, because those nerves will kick in, and you're like, oh my gosh.
So your mom.
Go back over what they're going to, and you've already said what they did at the University of Alabama. Tell our listeners what they do to judge you? What you do to be judged by at the contest? What do you do? What different things?
Normally, so we'll get there, and we'll learn, a bunch of stuff that we're going to do on stage. They have all kinds of opening numbers, but you start off with an interview with the judges. So that's a personal interview. Each contestant goes in there by themselves, and you have a couple of minutes to speak with the judges. They can ask you anything off your resume, anything they might want to know about you, what catches their eye. And then you move to on-stage portion, which you'll start off with an on-stage question where the judges actually get another question to ask you, and you get to answer in front of the audience. Then you have talent. They get to score you on your talent, and then you have evening gown and fitness.
Okay.
So it normally starts off with the hardest part. The interview is the most important. That's where the judges get to know you, get to see your personality, and then the rest of it is just kind of, you don't really know what they're thinking because you can't see them on stage, but it's just performance. And on stage.
All right, now, let me give you a tip, okay?
Okay.
I want to give you a tip. Try to find out who your judges are and what they like before you go in there.
Yes.
Well, I think she would probably know that. So you said your mom's your harshest critic, so she'll tell you the truth. Is that right, Marissa?
I don't think so. I think I'm my harshest critic.
Okay.
I think my mom is. I would say she's not a harsh critic, but a good one.
Okay.
She's not going to lie to me, and she's always going to tell me the truth. But if there's ever a time where I'm too harsh on myself and I'm like, I don't like the way this sounds, I just don't think it sounds good, she is quick to step in and say, like, you're being too hard on yourself. And she'll pull me into reality very quickly. But she's really taken, the reins with me, and it's a very hard career, and I know that she's a shoulder I can lean on. Because it was something when I was 13, I was like, I want to do this. And she was like, are you sure? And I said, yes. And she immediately jumped into it with me and said, all right, if that's what you want to do, I'm here for the ride.
Have you come up with several black things that you want to wear?
My closet is full of black, white, and red.
That's what
I haven't come up with several things I want to wear, but I definitely know what I can wear because it used to be just like normally black and white. But the second you become Miss UA, it is a true common known fact that for the rest of your life, you're going to have a lot of red in your closet.
Sure you do. Yeah, Barry.
Well, Marissa, we appreciate you being on with us. Just tell the listener anything else you want to talk about with the competition coming up, and we appreciate you being on with us.
Yeah, of course, and I really appreciate it. I hope all the listeners know that for Miss Alabama, y'all can follow my journey through social media, just Marissa Luna. And I'm super excited for what's to come, and I am so thankful that y'all had me on this morning.
Well, you got to promise me now when you win, you got to call me back and be on the show again. You do that?
Oh, yes, of course. That will be my first plan of action.
Thank you, Marissa.
Thanks so much, Marissa. I appreciate you being on.
Y'all
Tell your
have a
mama
great day.
today. Thank you.
Right, let's tell them about Bryant Bank here before we get to break.
Bryant Bank, 4 locations in the city of Tuscaloosa, but outside here in Birmingham, right below me, and Georgiana, a lot of places in the state of Alabama that Bryant Bank is. And Bryant Bank is a homegrown, home-operated bank for you. You'll be known as you walk in. You'll not only see a great bank, but you'll see a great banker, and that'll be important to you. There'll be a bank that you can work online around the clock, do whatever you need to do with with your bank and with your money. You can be darn sure that if fraud attempts come into the area, and they do to every area, that Bryant Bank is on top of things and that your stuff is safe. You're going to find that Bryant Bank is interested in maybe you have children, but they'll be interested in the schools that your children attend on a local basis. And I just think that Bryant Bank is an excellent place. As I said before, I've had several people mention to me that they need a new banking experience, and they have selected Bryant Bank, and Bryant Bank has been very successful for them. So give them a call, go by and visit with them, and tell them that you heard Barry and I on Inside the Locker Room, and it'll please us and please you too.
All right, we'll take the break here. The phone lines are back up at 205-342-9904. And we'll make
11511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
This report is sponsored by the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation.
Stay up to date with the Crimson Tide.
Local high school sports and Bama in the pros right here on Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Appreciate Yellowwood Pressure Treated Pine from Great Southern making a sponsor here in the 8 o'clock hour as well. Always remember, if it doesn't have that yellow tag on it, then believe me, you don't want it. Go to yellowwood.com to find the dealer that is closest to you. All right, these rules have passed. Do you think at some point, Justin, Dad, somebody's going to challenge the SEC? You got a kid now maybe here in Tuscaloosa that wants to go to Auburn in football or go somewhere, and they're saying, well, you can't go within the league. Or is that keeping guys right now from leaving? Because most people want to play in this league. Is that kind of why we're not seeing as many guys transferring right now, is because of this rule that Greg Sankey and them have in place?
I think it's inevitable that
I don't know the answer to that.
Challenge and try to push against this new rule. I think you might be right now initially that people are not moving as much because it is so new, and it takes one person though, and we saw it this past season or just a couple months ago with Tennessee challenging the NCAA with the booster rules and stuff like that. It takes one person to flip everything on its head, and then we're back in the courtroom trying to figure out something else.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, I think I didn't quite get the question. I've been so busy here trying to get things straight here. What was the question
I'm just
again?
saying the rule they have in place now after spring ball that you can't transfer within the league, is that most guys want to play in the SEC. We haven't seen many people here at all.
I think that's a good rule.
Do you think that's keeping guys from transferring? Normally, like you had a guy that went from Texas A&M to USC, and then now he's going to Auburn, so he had to get out of Texas A&M in order to get back to the SEC. There, he went and tried it out there for the semester, didn't like it. Now he's coming back and he's going to Auburn there.
They get around the rule. You're exactly right. They go to one school that they know they're not going to be satisfied at, then they can able to switch back to the school. In some cases, they're not completely cases about that, but everybody is trying to get by every rule. Everybody is not. When we talk about these universities trying to help certain players get money. You pull your hair out when you think about all the schools. I mean, all the kids that are in a school on scholarship, and every scholarship to them is important, and every sport to them is important. Their sport's the most important. So, it's easy for us to get on the air and talk about that, but it's not real easy.
Well, Justin said one guy challenges it, and then he wins in court, and then it's thrown out the window as well. So. The deal we talked about now. So are all these schools, are these Power 5 schools that can raise the money, are they going to all have to set up their own NIL department in-house now, Dave, in order to go out and get this money? Now, will the UABs and the Samfords and those people have to do it on a much lower scale, but they probably need somebody working for them too?
They will have to do it against in order to compete against the schools that are on the same level they are. And it's not easy at all. When you go to the level that you mentioned, the schools that you mentioned, and then you try to get something done there versus, the Power 5 schools, you got a booger bear trying to get some money from those people. So it's not, you're getting money now because they went to school there. But just to go out in the open and try to get money from them, it's not easy.
Yeah. Justin, you think these guys that go out and solicit this money, do you go out, let's say if you go out, do you say, all right, look, we need a 5-year commitment. We need you to give X number of dollars per year for 5 years. I mean, you'll take whatever they'll give you, but it's kind of hard to know what you have because if you don't get them to do it for 4 or 5 years, then you have to keep going back and knocking on the door each and every year. I think that is part of what Yay Alabama is. You get in at a certain level and you give, monthly. But for these people, they'll take whatever you're going to give them. But it's going to be a year-to-year thing of how much you can get in the kitty. And can you see women's basketball being frustrated, saying the only thing they ever do is they only try to go get money for the men. They don't ever try to get it for us. There's going to be some battles within
except if you're South Carolina or LSU.
Yeah, well, and then they would be.
And then that stink starts the other way. Then the men say, crap, they're not doing anything for the men.
Yeah. Justin, you see the problems here with this, or some guy will say, "Look, I'm going to give it, but I want it only going to baseball. You put this in baseball, how you put this in football, you put this in basketball. There'd be a certain situation there where some of these lower tier sports, I guess they just got to be happy with the scholarship. There may be, if you got a Nick Dunlap or something there that you want to retain, and I think golf, there's a lot of money around golf. Somebody may give to that, but it's going to be kind of individual basis. And do you try to get these guys to commit for 5 years or just go year to year?
Yeah, you would hope so. And that's kind of like the move towards these athletes becoming employees of the university. That's
the very next question, the employee problem. And the tax problem that you pay because you are an employee, and that's the next place that people are going to hit.
If a guy has a ton of money, if I had a ton of money, I probably still wouldn't give to it. But if I did, I would say, all right, I'm going to give you this much. You put it wherever you want it. You want to put it in facilities, you put it there. You want to put it towards football, you need it there. But this is how much I'm going to give you, and I would probably say, next year hopefully I can give the same amount, but you decide where it goes, and then so if they do that, then what does the Greg Burns and those guys do? Do they take a little bit? Let's put a little bit here in the facilities. Let's put a little bit here for the women's sports. Let's put a little. I mean, how do they divvy this stuff up? And I think those are the things that are going to hit.
Well, they're going to hurt baseball because they divvy what makes the most money.
Yeah, but some guys that really love baseball. And I got a buddy that's he's a big Auburn fan, and he loves baseball. So he said, any money I give, I tell him to give it to baseball. Football gets enough.
But that's one person.
Yeah. But if they get anything, they're getting more than they were. So I don't know. I think it's just created more problems and more headaches and more jealousy. And there'll be jealousy now within the department, and so I think the NCAA just basically said, "Hey, let's put the universities in charge of it now. They can handle it." And it'd be interesting to see will a player, Justin and Dad, will they want to say? Will they want to show the university all their deals, or they rather just do it themselves, hire somebody to do it for them? I don't think a Bryce Young needs the university. He probably can get his own agent and do it. So now we're going to be battling, do we give it to the university or do we go through our own agent here? That's going to be the rub, correct?
Yeah, that's right. It is. How much time do we have, Barry?
You can get out if you need to go.
No, I just want to know. I wanted to mention to our listeners, because I think I've had a couple of, I know I make a lot of noise behind the scenes, but Annette has had a bad fall and has broken her arm in several places and some other problems, and is going to be operated on today at 2:30. So you finish it, though.
Yeah, so today, we appreciate everybody's prayers. Actually, it's just ironic. Jack's having a very minor surgery compared to what she's having. So Lyle Kane is, I guess it's okay to say, we'll be doing.
Yes, Lyle Kane.
Yeah,
sure.
We'll be doing both of those surgeries today. So we'll be headed up to Birmingham to get those taken care of. So hopefully your prayers and all will be appreciated with that. So we have two of them getting surgery today, so hopefully everything will go smooth there. All right, we'll take this break, and then we'll come back. We got Digger dialing in. We'll get Digger on the phone. We'll take a couple phone calls, 205-342-9904. Then we'll get out of the way and make way for the Gary Harris Show. You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. If you're making the drive along 15th Street on the northbound side, you will find an accident near 23rd in Tuscaloosa. It is in the median, though. Doesn't appear to be blocking any of the main travel lanes and minimal impact on traffic. Road work is continuing along eastbound 2059 approaching Joe Malisham. The right lane is passable. Left lane is still blocked. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Tuesday edition of The Game, we're going to talk with Mike Detillier, WWL, the Big 870. We're going to talk about the upcoming NFL Draft. Pete Nakos is going to join us talking about On3, the transfer portal reporter. He's going to share some thoughts on the incoming DB into the capstone. That and a lot more starting at 2 p.m. here on The Game on Tide 100.9, 1230. WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest running sports program in Tuscaloosa.
Anywhere work happens, EasyCater has everything you need to make food for work, work. Order 24/7 at EasyCater.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A beautiful day today with a sunny sky. Tuscaloosa's high 75. Mostly fair tonight, the low 53. Tomorrow, partly to mostly sunny, the high 76. Thursday, a mix of sun and clouds, a few scattered showers around, the high 79. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 53 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Mr. SEC Tournament Wimp Sanderson gives you his excellent analysis every weekday on Inside the Locker Room, right here on Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Phone lines are open 205-342-9904. We'll go to the Yellowwood hotline, get Digger in. Good morning, Digger.
Hey, dear. Hey, how's it going? You know, the big hangnail with the NCAA is this Title IX business. I mean, you do realize that, say, like for an example for Texas, if you have 63% of the student body that are female, you have to add a sport, or you have to have a ratio of women's sports in that athletic department.
Yeah.
And that's why we're seeing baseball teams with 11 scholarships when they really need 25. It's a joke. Okay. Granted, I know the women's sports, not all of them make money. There's some that'll make money. I know Texas makes money with the basketball and the softball for the women's sports, and swimming and volleyball. So it's a moneymaker if you do it right. But like you said, with the NCAA, it's, you know, Scarbenzi had it partly right. It's the president of every university is a member of the NCAA. They're representing the institution.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they're not there all the time. So what do? They send their athletic department people over there. Or, you know,
sure.
They're nothing more than a body of policymakers.
Well, it's a different committee every time.
Yeah, and the big mistake they made is they went ahead and negotiated the contract with ESPN for $1 billion contract for the basketball tournament. Okay, so they got into the business of making money, and now look where they're at.
Let me ask you this, Digger.
Yeah.
Title IX. Will that come into play now when you start in August, and these universities can go out and find these NIL deals? Is Title IX, are they going to come in and say, you got to find the women the same amount of money you're finding for the men, or make it equivalent? Can that factor in this stuff?
You bet your bottom dollar.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
You know, I mean, there's a few exceptions, like Caitlin Clark. Probably, you know, she's, you know, and hey, we had a gymnast at LSU. Had a $4 million NIL.
Yeah.
As a gymnast, and she really didn't fare that well. So there you go.
Did LSU win the national championship? They did. Okay, wow.
They did, and guess what? we don't have a gymnastics team.
Why not?
I am chomping at the bit to have one. Chomping at white leotards with the hook 'em horns on there.
Why y'all not
hopping
have
around
one?
like bunnies.
Why do y'all not have one, Digger?
Because
y'all
we
are
put it in
sexist.
volleyball and rowing and everything else. We'll get one. Trust me.
You got
If
men.
they want it, they'll get it.
You got men's
Let you go.
soccer. You got men's soccer.
I don't know.
Yeah, that means you
I don't think so.
No,
I know that we got a women's soccer.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There you go.
Let it go.
There you go. All right. There you go. Will that be a factor in Title IX with this NIL money? If the university's in charge of going out, are you working as hard to get the women's softball team as much as you are the baseball? Or are you working
sure,
to
it's a
get
factor.
the women's basketball as much as you're? But I mean, they can't make these people give. Is that a
If
factor?
we only knew behind the scenes what went on among assistant coaches being mad at each other in football and basketball, head coaches being peeved at each other. I can remember when we made one call to somebody about them cheating against the guy that we were trying to get. It was awful. So all that stuff.
It happens in facilities. You build one a nice practice facility, then the other's going to want the nice practice facility. And I'm not saying they don't deserve it. It's just this stuff is going to be a problem. And not that it isn't already, but there'll be some bickering within. There'll be some disappointments within the department there. So I think these athletic directors' jobs just got harder, right?
Oh, they come in and get new ones. A guy from Memphis is going to Missouri. A guy from Missouri is gone. It's just, I think that's the lady. She's gone somewhere, I forget. But it's just, and when these coaches in these different sports, they cringe up when the new athletic director comes in because they're not sure what he or she thinks about their particular sport, and it is very, very controversial when that happens.
Well, you also see why it's important that the athletic director is there that hired you. When a new guy comes in, then they're generally they want to make their own hire.
That's
so unless
right.
you're doing something like Nick Saban, that doesn't matter. Like he's bigger than the program. But most of these guys come in, they're going to give their guy that they hire whatever they need. The other guy, no, they just always looking to get them out. All right, that's it. We'll get out of here. Thank you, and we'll make way for the Gary Harris Show. Gary's in ready. I think you got Drew DeArmond in today, but Gary's in ready to roll. You got NBA tonight. Will a road team, Justin, win tonight? I think I'm correct about that. The home team and the Knicks, obviously, and the Nuggets pulled one out of their yin-yang last night. So who wins tonight? Will the Timberwolves, will the Suns win on the road, the Pacers, or the Mavericks? Somebody's winning tonight. I think the Suns and the Mavericks win tonight. Justin, you taking any road team tonight?
I think I would have taken those two as well, but it's hockey time. Come on, we're watching playoff hockey. Yeah.
I don't even understand hockey. What is icing?
We don't have enough time.
That means you don't know. That's like all sides in soccer. I still can't figure that out. All right, that's it. Have a great day, everybody. Headed to Beham. You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.